Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Medina. We're ready to have another big show tonight. Joining us in this hour, we have Keith in Connecticut, followed by the Ducks and Pucks podcaster, Mike Walters. He'll be joining us at 6:40 tonight. And in hour number 2, we have Tom and Andy joining us for the NBA Finals preview. So stand by. We're ready to air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Dave in the City doesn't put the NHL on ice. Listen for all the hockey talk here on Locks of the Week Radio.
Coast to coast, internet sports talk, Locks of the Week.
Doc Rivers continues to time and time again not get it when it comes to getting...
Oh! Let him play!
How Connecticut are you? Are you wearing khakis and a polo? Regarding Lynch, who cares? What was he going to do today? Was he going to address each reporter? Oh, thank you for the question.
Cap ran through the entire Yankee lineup, but he left out one guy, and his name is Alex Russell.
I like to try and forget about him because.
From Los Angeles, this is Dave in the City, brought to you by Locks of the Week Radio. Now, here's Dave Medina.
Good evening, sports fans, and a pleasure to have you here for the big Wednesday show. Good to have you with us here from Santa Monica tonight on a very big program for you, featuring a lot of guests and needing the phones, but we don't have the phones right now because we are having some technical difficulties with our Skype connection. But assuming we get it all patched up in the next 20 minutes, we'll be joined by our friends Keith in Connecticut here in hour number 1 at 6:10 tonight. That's 10 after the hour, 9:10 on the East Coast. Then at 6:40, we'll be joined by Mike Walters of the Ducks and Pucks podcast for a look at what the Ducks are up to right now. Unfortunately, it's not much, and they played Game 7 against the Chicago Blackhawks over the weekend, and they were not victorious. So they are not representing in the Cup Final right now. Instead, it is Chicago at Tampa Bay. My last check of it was Tampa Bay was leading 1-0 in that game. Game 1 of the Cup Final from the Tampa Bay area. And also in the Game 7 letdown, the New York Rangers came up empty. Very tough situation for all concerned. So we are going to have to improvise in a big way tonight because we just I literally don't have the Skype working. It's a very confusing evening for a lot of us. I don't really know why everything just decided to stop working all of a sudden. I'm a little bit mixed up, but I can tell you from my point of view that things are looking pretty good on this side. One thing I think I might do, now this is really risky, is to try to dial in Skype from the production computer, and that is not something I want to do because that would just be a complete disaster if it occurred. So what we're gonna do right now, I seriously am very confused right now. I'm not sure what is happening. What we'll do is we'll just go ahead and we'll just get going, and I'm gonna have to restart the talk computer for the time being. So we'll have to roll with that. And I apologize for the technical difficulties, but if we can get it all going in about 5 minutes, we will have Keith in Connecticut joining us for our first discussion about the New York Rangers in their East Final games, Game 7 at home against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who again are also representing in this year's Stanley Cup Final because the New York Rangers were shut out by the Lightning 2-0 in Game 7. And it's a pretty disappointing end to that season as well. But we came to find out in the news that Ryan McDonough, Girardi, Stahl, and Yandel played hurt during that series. And that's not uncommon in the NHL. The teams play hurt a lot. Players play hurt a lot. But the extent of the injuries looked pretty extreme, especially in the case of McDonough. He looked really beat up. I mean, he could barely even skate, let alone get something together to play the game. So a tough situation for all concerned. So we will... It's another lost opportunity for the New York Rangers, another lost opportunity for the Anaheim Ducks. The third year in a row that the Ducks lost a Game 7 at home to end their playoff season. definitely a disappointment and just an unfortunate end. I was really that one was pretty disappointing to me personally because I really liked that Ducks team and they had a lot going. I mean, even without Teemu Selanne, it was still a very talented, very potent team. Ryan Getzlaf, Corey Perry, and contributions all over. You had Matt Bolesky, Cam Fowler. You had Francois Beauchemin. It was really, really just a fun team to watch. It really was just a bummer. I mean, I don't really have a more succinct or a fancier way to put it. It was just a real bummer just seeing the Ducks lose out so quickly. They had a great season. They had a good playoffs, but it comes down to Game 7, and you just never know. It goes down to the final, the winner-take-all game, and you have the home ice, and all of a sudden you see Patrick Kane scoring goals on you, and then that was that. And it just before you knew it, they were down 2-0. They were down, I think they were down as much as 3-0. Ducks came back with a couple goals. There was a disputed kicking or no kicking call that resulted in a Chicago goal, although by that point the game was starting to get out of hand. And the Blackhawks just really brought it on this night. And Frederik Andersen, the goaltender for the Ducks, was really fighting it on this night. So, just, all I can say is it stinks. And so it's a bummer, but hopefully they can do it again next year. You know, never give up on a team like that. It's still a pretty young team. The Ducks have a lot going for them. Really, I sympathize with Ducks fans in this situation. Like, you just never want to see that. And the same for the Rangers. Like, you don't want to lose at home and get shut out. I mean, that was one that that kind of hurt because I was really excited for my buddies. I have friends in New York. You've heard many of them on the show, and many of them are big Ranger fans. And there's so much enthusiasm for the Rangers, especially when the Stanley Cup playoffs begin. It really is just such a drag to see something like that end. I mean, that's no fun. That's just no fun. So it ends for both the Rangers and the Ducks tonight. Also on the docket, sports, the NBA Finals begin tomorrow with a team that has yet an opportunity for themselves, the Golden State Warriors, with a chance to win their first NBA Finals in 40 years. I mean, I know the term long-suffering franchise can be overplayed, but this truly applies. This is a definite, huge, huge moment for Golden State. I think it's just, I think it's tremendous. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, really fun to watch. What more can you say? It's just been, it's a blast. So they're playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, really a beat-up team, a thin team, not much depth to them. LeBron James is, of course, your star there, one of the great players in NBA history, and doing the job for the Cleveland Cavaliers yet again, just as he did in the old days when he was with Cleveland the first time, leading them to the finals in very swift fashion, a sweep of the Atlanta Hawks to win the Eastern Conference. And that's a disappointment that we'll address in hour number 2 with Tom in New Jersey and Andy in Seattle. But before we address anything further, let me address our website, www.ditcow.com. Father's Day is coming up in just a couple weeks. You don't want to be blindsided. Take your opportunity. Go to our website for an easy-to-use Amazon link. What it does is that it takes you to Amazon, but it also directs traffic to our program, so it helps support the show, and it really creates a great experience. And we want to do that because Amazon's such a great partner with us. We want to promote Amazon everywhere we can. So it's true. It is fun. It is a very fun program, and we have Keith on the line now. I got to make sure that I can get a hold of him so that he knows what we're up to. Man, this stinks. I hope he realizes that we're unable to get the phone system going, but we will have it up in just a minute. But www.didcow.com. Check out the Amazon link under our sponsors, and check out all the things that Amazon has in store for us, for all of us, this month. Father's Day gifts, a lot of good ideas, plus you can get your latest 2015 NBA Finals merchandise And on the site itself, www.didcow.com, I have the blog, I have other updates, and podcasts of our show on MP3 format, and the very popular Didcow t-shirt shop, which has some fun themed shirts from the show. So enjoy all of that. It should be a good time. So now we're going to get to the telephones. We will give it a go with Skype. Hopefully it cooperates. And we'll have our first guest of the evening. So we just waiting for the phones to start up. Let's see if it works. All right, we're gonna
start your show now. Press 1.
I think we got
For
it.
your important instructions, press 2.
Well, it didn't.
Speak to customer service, press 3.
Since it appears you're calling.
Wow, that's impressive. I can't believe we did that.
Now.
We had serious, and I mean serious, technical difficulties.
Your show will go live in 5
Oh my gosh,
seconds.
and away we go. We had serious technical difficulties just getting this phone system up, and from the sound of the podcast, it almost sounds like it didn't happen. But we were doing all sorts of stuff behind the scenes. We are now online. For those of you on Blog Talk Radio, welcome to the show, and hope that you can sample the remainder of the show by going to YouTube and catching the front end of it. But the back end of it is here for you, and we begin. So now let's start with our first guest of the evening, and that would be Keith in Connecticut, longtime Ranger fan, guy I met last summer over at what was it? Oh yeah, it was Bobby V's in Sanford, Connecticut. Now he joins us to break down the NHL East Final recap. Keith, thank you very much for waiting. Welcome to the show. How's it going tonight?
Channeling my Colin and Wyckoff. Dave, how we doing?
We're doing great, sir. We're doing great. Boy, what?
Good.
Before we even, I'm going to do this with our friend Michael in at 640. But I got to say, the Rangers had a great season. They won the President's Cup. This has been just a great watch, and they've had some drama in the mix. It really has been a good time. So I want to get that out of the way. I mean, this has been just a tremendous season, but unfortunately, one that ended in disappointment, and it really is too bad, because I really thought that things could have been really juicy if they had won that game and gone to the Cup final. So anyway, Keith, under the circumstances, what's new with you? I mean, how are you what's your reaction so far to what's happened? Is it still a little bit of a shock to you?
Every day is a better day, Dave. You know, every day that we get away from it. This was, as a sports fan, this was one of the more disappointing defeats.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Compared to last year, last year was a great run. It was a surprising run to the Cup Finals. Nobody expected it. Kind of came out of nowhere. But this year was totally different. This year was President's Trophy, like you just said. It was best in the league in goal differential. It was, third in goals scored, so they could put the puck in the net. Third in goals against, so they could keep the puck out of the net. They had pretty much everything set up for them. They had home ice advantage. And, sometimes you go out there and you just get beat. And that's what happened. And Tampa is a heck of a team. They led the league in goals scored. They finished, I think it was 5 points behind the Rangers in the conference, which over 82 games isn't a whole lot. They finished second in the entire league behind the Rangers in goal differential. So it wasn't like the Rangers were going to have some sort of cakewalk. Tampa had given them trouble the entire year, and Ranger fans knew this. And if sometime at the beginning of the season, mid-season, or whatever, we were told we could be in the Eastern Conference Finals, tied going into the third period of Game 7, obviously you sign up for that. It didn't work out, and it's just very disappointing the way the whole year set up. But like I said, Tampa deserved it. It's not like the Rangers lost. Tampa beat them. So, but it's still disappointing. 5 days out or whatever it is.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we have to give Tampa Bay a lot of credit here. The Lightning are such a lightning quick team, Really tremendous team speed, a lot of talent. I mean, we've seen guys like Stamkos and Johnson, and the guy's name I can't pronounce, Park-Caronov or something, whatever his name was. I apologize for that. But and then Ben Bishop had a pretty good series. I wouldn't necessarily say that he was like Dominik Hasek out there, but he did make some nice saves, and he did a pretty good job for himself too. So I agree. Tampa Bay had a terrific season and a good playoffs. Obviously, a great finish to their season just because they made the Cup final. A very young team, and they've opened a lot of eyes this month. They certainly have in the NHL. You ever bring up an interesting point? There's the splits against the Rangers. Tampa Bay had a pretty good record, particularly in Madison Square Garden. There was definite reason to be worried, but like you said, tied 0-0. It looked like both teams were playing it pretty tight in Game 7. What was the turning point, do you think, for that game? Because, again, it all seemed to come apart in that final 10 minutes. Or maybe not even final 10 minutes, but maybe it would have, because it was only a one-goal game until about the 6-minute mark remaining in the third period. Was there what point did you...
Well,
go ahead, Keith.
Well, so it's 0-0 going into the third period, and the Rangers give up. You'd call it a bit of a soft goal because it squeezed between Lundqvist's pads, went into the net. He said he didn't see it, and you can't complain about this guy. He's far and away the best player in the team, one of the best goalies in the league and in the world. It was a bit of a soft goal, so it's a 1-0 game, but there's still about 18 minutes left in the third period. But as the period went on, Tampa really shut things down, and then Dan Girardi has an ill-advised pinch. Stepping up in the offensive zone, he doesn't take either the man or the puck, and Andre Palat joins the play, and they have a 3-on-2 going the other way, and Tyler Johnson finds him, and he buries it.
Yep.
And it's a 2-0 game, and at that point, that's pretty much it. But as for a turning point, it's really the style that Tampa played in not only in Game 7 but Game 5 also. They just for some reason that eluded them in Game 6. I don't know what happened in Game 6 where the Rangers won 7-3. But they didn't play defense at all in that game, or the third period of that game. But they completely shut the Rangers down.
They did.
They made a concerted effort to have all their guys back, many times below the face-off circles, at the dots, and they had five guys below the puck, and they made it really difficult on the Rangers to get any quality chances at all, especially in Game 7. So, granted, Bishop, and, all power to him, 2 shutouts in Madison Square Garden, Games 5 and 7, but, I give a lot of credit to their defense core and their defense system in those 2 games to really pack it in and take away any sort of opportunities the Rangers were trying to generate.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, even when the Rangers were on the power play, the number of scoring chances did seem very sparse. So I can imagine, and I can sympathize with that, with the feeling of being on that side of it. It does seem like a helpless feeling, but yeah, I mean, it's not easy to shut a team down like that, especially a team that we have talked about has some pretty good team speed of its own, and guys like Chris Kreider and Carl Hagelin, these guys can skate. So it's funny to think that can be combated, but it looks like Tampa Bay really just decided to find a way to slow the game down. It was a brilliant strategy. What can we say?
Right, and part of neutralizing the Rangers' team speed is putting pressure on a forecheck and not allowing their defensemen to turn and transition and get the puck out of the zone. The Rangers were exposed a bit with a few of their slow-footed defensemen and guys who don't possess the puck as well and move it as quickly to get it out of the zone into the neutral zone, up to the Kreiders and Hagelins. Well, we'll get into the Hagelin stuff later on. But you know, they did a heck of a job putting pressure on the Rangers defense corps, the guys who weren't as mobile as maybe some of the other Ranger defensemen.
Yeah, that's very. It was definitely a sight to see, but certainly the Rangers had a lot of grit in the series. Sorry, we saw some highlights of them, especially when you go to Game 6 was one that was just unbelievable. It was just like you had a hat trick in the mix. It was really something. It was really something to see. That was pretty impressive. But what could the Rangers have done differently in Game 7? They were battling a lot of injuries. It didn't seem like McDonough was really going to do much. Realistically, I mean, the guy looked so like he was in so much pain. What could have changed for the Rangers that could have led them to a victory in that third period?
Well, I mean, you know, injuries aside, you know, not even bringing up the Zuccarello thing, just with the guys they had, it just seemed, and other people have brought this up throughout the entire series, was it just seemed that the team who scored the first goal really got the upper hand. And if the Rangers had gotten the first goal, Tampa always tends to open it up a bit. You know, that's just the way Tampa plays. You know, as we talked about before, they're the leading goal scoring team in the entire league. So they're a north-south team. They're up and down the ice as fast as they can go. It's not really their style to pack it in. So, you know, when Rangers got the first goal, Tampa would tend to open it up a little bit and create those lanes where they can move the puck up the ice and whatnot. So that was, if they had gotten the first goal, that could have changed things. But really, other than that, it was as if, you know, Tampa was just counterpunching. They were taking, you know, blocking what. Here's a stat that I saw about Tampa. The entire season, they did not block 20 or more shots in a game. So far in the playoffs, they've done it 4 times. So they're clearly making a concerted effort, more so than in the regular season, in their defensive zone.
Wow, that's a pretty big stat. Pretty big stat. This is Keith in Connecticut joining us tonight. We've previously referred to him as Parcells falling out. I meant to do that tonight, but I was so caught up in the technical issues. So hopefully you're all right with us. You're referring to your regular name, Keith.
I'm all good.
You're all good.
With that.
It was nice meeting you. I was just to mention that again. I mean, it was really a good time. You're a big dude. You're pretty tall. I did not catch wind of that when I met you, but. Do you play hockey yourself? Have you played hockey before? Something like other sports?
No, I never played.
I gotcha. Okay.
No, I was just basketball and baseball.
Okay.
But I grew up a huge Ranger fan, just getting it.
Oh, absolutely.
From my father, so yeah, never played the sport.
I gotcha. But you played tonight in a baseball game, I understand. So how did any hits for you tonight on this baseball league?
Well, no, it's actually I coach Little League.
Oh, okay, you coach. Okay.
Yeah, so we had a game, and so sometimes these games go to between 8 and 8:30 sort of thing. But we sometimes when we end, we go out for a couple beers and whatnot.
I love it
and that sort of thing. So yeah, so no, it was a good game for the good guys tonight. So
I love it. Cool.
So we had fun. Our team played well.
That's good. Now here's an interesting question. This is somewhat related. If the Rangers were in the Cup final tonight, would you have coached that game? What would have happened there?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I would really try to rush home after these. We would have games the same night. It seemed like every night there was a playoff game, I had a Little League game, and I would just, we would wrap up the kids. I would pack up everything and just hop in the car and drive home. I would DVR the game and sometimes get home and just bust through the first period to catch up and whatnot, but yeah, the responsibility would be coaching, so I would stay off, Twitter and the radio and that sort of thing. So,
right.
But I would be able to catch up by the start of the second period.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. Because by the time you're home now, it's 9:25 in the East, and the second period in the Stanley Cup Final is just starting. So yeah, you would have been A-okay. Well, good deal. Good deal. In fact, taking that a step further, if they were in the Cup final, I probably would have rescheduled our interview for another night, too, because I wouldn't want to have you on during the game. That wouldn't be fair. So,
yeah, might have been a tough one. I might have to go all Jerry and Piscataway on you during the game and Rant and Raven.
Oh, man, our friend Jerry. Always a thrill to read on the Twitter and hear here on the show, no doubt. Do you do that during games? Like when you watch the Rangers, are you like do you get intense like throwing things and anything like that?
No, I did that. I did that when I was younger, and I was more emotional about it. But I just kind of sit here and I have one of the if there's any sort of positive about the Rangers getting eliminated, I could stop drinking every other night.
Oh, there you go.
Which I've been doing. But no, I would just sit here with some beers, and the more tense it gets, I would do my certain like rocking back and forth. I'm a little superstitious and that sort of stuff, because obviously they won. What they win? Game 6. So I had
Game
a certain
6
kind of beer. Game 6.
Yep.
So I'd have the same sort of beer. Game 7. All stupid nonsense that makes no sense except to when you're involved in that sort of thing.
I've been there.
I would just sit here and sometimes when it would like be overtime, the Caps Game 7 overtime, I was just sitting here like rocking like a mental patient. I was so I don't want nervous maybe if that's the word, but yeah, sometimes it's more of a relief when they win instead of just joy, and that's a tough balance, and but unfortunately, last Friday was miserable, but we move on,
We do indeed, but great to hear the the personal side of it too, Keith. So let's continue with the Rangers recap tonight. And I want to ask about a couple of key players. You already addressed Henrik Lundqvist, because a lot of guys have been saying, oh, he's not getting it done in a big spot, da-da-da. I really don't agree with that at all. I think that's very unfair. I also think that he gets a lot of pressure in some of those games because of defensive breakdowns and whatever, and a lot of times he's come through. So do you feel like the animosity against Lundqvist is ridiculous from fellow Ranger fans?
It's just silly. I mean, anybody who watches the games or pays attention to what's going on out there can clearly see he's their most important player, and that he makes, for the most part, big save after big save. And does he get beat? Sure, he gets beat, but there's no other goalie that I would really rather have. I'm being biased because he's our guy, and I think he's the best out there. But you got Carey Price and guys like that out there who are I would say just as good. But when it comes to him, I have zero complaints about him, the way he played. Even when we talked about it before, he let in what could be considered a soft goal as the first goal, but they didn't score any goals.
Right. You got to score.
You can't win if you don't put the puck in the net. They didn't put the puck in the net for the last 150 minutes on home ice. So I'm not sure how you blame the guy who's keeping the puck out of the net. So, but yeah, all that Lundqvist talk to me is just is nonsense.
Yeah, I agree with that. And keeping the thread of nonsense and overrating or underrating or unjustified criticism, would you feel the same way about Alain Vigneault? Do you feel like he coached reasonably well for this series?
I don't. Well, for this series, no, I don't. And this is a guy I really like. I think he's a really good coach, and I don't have a ton of problems with him. But he seems to, how do I want to say? Well, let's just, Game 7, Game 7 was a mirror of Game 5, and you just didn't see many adjustments. And you know what came out of Game 7 was a lot of talk of lack of effort by the team. They didn't play hard. They have no heart, and that's just silly. I mean, that's just a bunch of Mongos who don't know what they're talking about. Who's not playing hard in a Game 7 or has any heart in a Game 7? But I think because Game 7 looked a lot like 5, people think the team wasn't trying. So it just didn't seem like he made any adjustments from Game 5, knowing that Tampa might pack it in and play a different style. He had some line combinations that I wasn't a fan of the entire year, even. And this goes back, a huge debate within. And I know this sounds, minimal and petty and not a huge effect on the team throughout, but their fourth line contributed a tremendous amount last year.
Last year, yep.
You had Dominic Moore and Brian Boyle and Derek Dorsett, and these guys contributed during the playoffs. They had a fourth line the entire year that was just a mess, and they basically were a three-line team. And a lot of fans, including myself, pointed to Tanner Glass. And granted, this is the guy who's the last man on the roster, so it doesn't seem like a major thing. But it really did affect. This guy's a black hole out there, and it affected the productivity of the fourth line. And when the margin for error in the playoffs is so slim, and if you can get a guy contributing, somebody with a little more talent out there than a guy like Tanner Glass who has one goal in his last 120 games or something like that, you need to take advantage of it. And granted, they were winning with him out there during the regular season, but like I said, the margin is so thin in the playoffs that any advantage you can get, you should take. So it's stuff like that. And then, he never solved the Marty St. Louis stuff. St. Louis probably hurt the team more than a guy like Glass who didn't play a ton. But, St. Louis was a black hole on any line that he played on. When Zuccarello got hurt and they moved him up to the first line, Nash and Brassard suffered. They couldn't produce. St. Louis lost every 50-50 battle for a puck, couldn't hold on to a puck, was horrible on the power play. They moved him down to the third line, and then that affected Kevin Hayes and Carl Hagelin's productivity because he couldn't do much. So there were certain things with personnel that he couldn't solve. But like I said, I think Vigneault is a tremendous coach, and he has done tremendous stuff with the team. But if we're looking at a small sample of games in the playoffs, I got to say, I thought he was a little disappointing.
All right, well, I think that's very fair criticism by you, Keith. So very well, nicely put. Keith in Connecticut with us tonight, breaking down the Rangers in the Eastern Conference Final and the Stanley Cup playoffs. Not a happy outcome for the Rangers, and it really is big of you to come on and break it down with us anyhow. Let's talk about some other items from the Rangers season, and one of them was the breakout play of Kevin Hayes. You just brought him up just a moment ago. This young kid has really got it going on with the stick, and he's scored some pretty nice goals over the season. Your take on a pretty good young starting out hockey player?
Yeah, Hayes was certainly a find for them. Just, the backstory on him, he was a first-round pick of the Blackhawks, and he played into, I believe, his senior year at college, and he was eligible to become a free agent because he never signed with them. So he didn't sign with the Hawks and became a free agent and signed with the Rangers. And he was just a tremendous find. The Rangers had a lack of depth up the middle, and, that was part of their problem last year against your Kings, is that they weren't strong up the middle. And they add a big body like Hayes, who's about 6'5", 220, can handle the puck. Not the fastest skater in the world, but deceptive out there. And, he can put the puck in the net, and this was his first year, and he played some wing. He mostly played third line center, and it was something the Rangers really need, and he was a tremendous addition to the team behind Stepan and Brassard to fill that third center hole that he didn't have. And again, the window's not shut on this team. They have young guys like Hayes who are going to get better. Hayes, Kreider, Fast, Miller. So, that core group of young guys, the Rangers will be back. They'll still be around next year and the year after. So that's certainly something to look forward to.
I completely agree with that. I mean, we both agree that this is still a very young team no matter what. Even Lundqvist isn't that old, really. So goalies can go a long time. So I think they're just getting started. Certainly another cup run could be in their future. Maybe not immediately, but definitely in the near future. It's possible that it can happen. I'll say no more because I don't want to jinx it. But I think that the future is still pretty bright for the New York Rangers. Keith, it's been a great time. Thank you very much for breaking it all down with us tonight. And enjoy your summer, and good luck to your baseball team as well.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me, and we'll talk soon.
All right, you bet. That's Keith in Connecticut on the program with the Ranger Beat and the recap. Good to have him with us again. Always fun time talking with him about both the Rangers and the Yukon Huskies, for which things were better for him last year when they won the national championship in college basketball. So now we switch gears from the Eastern Conference to the Western Conference, where we look at the Ducks, unfortunately sitting at home. But what a series they played against the Chicago Blackhawks. That was a lot of fun to watch, even as a guy with no dog in the fight, quote unquote. It was still great to see the Ducks just have a tremendous time. I thought they were going to get that Game 7. I really did. But, sometimes the breaks just don't come. But who better to talk about this series than a Ducks fan himself and the host of the Ducks and Pucks podcast? He is Mike Walters. He hosts the show with various persons and with a co-host, which name just eludes me at the moment. But he joins us now in the city. Mike, welcome to the show. My name's Dave. It's great to meet you. How's it going tonight?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I'm just took a break from watching Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final right now.
Yeah, and that game seems to be in an interesting spot right now. Tampa Bay with the early lead. I think a lot of people felt like Chicago was going to win the series, but Tampa Bay with the home ice advantage and 1-0, and it's a tight one in the second period, so we'll keep an eye on that. Let's go back to the West Final, though. The Ducks, again, I just can't stress this enough. They have had a marvelous season. Such a fun team. A lot of third-period comebacks. What a team. Before we start, head on into the West Final recap, what is your takeaway from the Ducks season in a nutshell? Because this was really a fun team to watch. I mean, you couldn't even count how many times that they came back. I saw one game where they were out of it against the Philadelphia Flyers at home at Honda Center. They not only tied it up, but then, oh no, I'm sorry, I got that reversed. I'm sorry. It was against the Winnipeg Jets, excuse me, that game where they looked like they were going to lose that game. They came back and they won it in OT. Boy, I mean, it's just been a fun season. Your takeaway from the Ducks season as a whole, Mike?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the team has come back so many times, 18 times in the regular season and several times in the playoffs as well. And that was kind of a trademark of the team was the third period. And they did well, against also the Jets and Calgary in the playoffs, and then ran into the Blackhawks. And, most people knew that series was going to go 6 or 7 games. The Ducks had some chances. I really believe they could have ended it in 5 games.
Yep.
Game 2 kind of got away from them. But overall in the season, the Ducks played well. They're going to be back next year. They've only got 2 UFAs, coming up in the summer that they've really got to try to figure out what they're going to do. And, the future's still going to be good for this team. Lots of talent, lots of core players that are going to be back. And that's about it. They're going to be good for, a couple years to come. So Ducks fans still have a lot of, high hopes and expectations for the next, several seasons.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We'll get to those free agents in a few minutes, but now back to the West Final recap. Game 2, definitely one to remember. It went triple overtime, the longest game in California. And I think it was the longest game in Blackhawks history too, or something like that. It was a very, very long game, in other words. And those kind of games are ones to remember. Unfortunately, it did not end well for the Ducks. It could have ended even sooner, but the headbutt attempt by the Blackhawks, obviously, I thought, but it wasn't so obvious to others, was not going to count. I wasn't sure exactly what the rule was with that headbutting rule, but it's similar to when you try to kick a puck. You can't do that deliberately to get a goal. So I thought the right call was made, but that was an exciting one to watch. What was your favorite game of that West Final?
Yeah, for me, I was at all the home games.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So number 5 would have been the best one for me with the Ducks, jumping out to that early 3-0 lead in the first period. Taves, came back in the third with those 2 quick goals in the last 2 minutes of the game. And then Bolesky gets the game winner, fly in the air like Bobby Orr.
Yes.
And, the Ducks, they go up 3-2, and you think at that point that the Ducks are going to close it out, and then unfortunately, Game 6 and Game 7, they did not play as well as they needed to. Chicago was the better team in those 2 games, unfortunately, and that's just kind of the way it went. But Game 5 was definitely the one that I enjoyed the most.
Oh, that must have been especially great to see in person. And it's interesting you bring that up because I'm sure almost everyone in the building felt like when Chicago tied it up, when Taves had the 2 goals within 2 minutes to tie it up, that the Ducks would have just been defeated completely. That didn't happen, and I just thought that was a tremendous show of character by Boudreau and the guys. I mean, that was just really, really well done. Game 6 is the one that I'm a little curious about myself. I mean, Game 7, these things can happen. I mean, anything can happen. It's a Game 7. A lot of things can go on. Somebody rises to the top. These things can happen. Game 6, I'm not so much surprised that Chicago won, but it was interesting to see that they were down. It was a pretty reasonably close game. So I could see Chicago winning, but it was interesting that it kind of got away late with some mistakes. I mean, any takeaways you had from Game 6 and what happened there? I mean, do you feel like I heard on the podcast, on the Ducks and Pucks podcast, that we could say that Frederik Andersen didn't really have the same level of performance, which, again, this is the Blackhawks. This is a great offensive team. So to say that he didn't perform as well as he did against Calgary and Winnipeg is not really that big of a knock on him because Chicago is just that much better. It's a really great team. But it remains to be said that certainly that other gear did not occur for him. And so what could have gone differently in either Game 6 or Game 7 for the Ducks to turn that series around?
Yeah, a lot of people try to pin down Game 6 and 7 to one thing. The fans are upset, and obviously I am too, that we lost both those games. But they try to look at, whether or not it's the coach or if it's Anderson or if it's Getzlaf or who it is. And in reality, you can't look at any one of the players or even the coach. It was the entire team. Turnovers killed that team in Game 6 and 7. Getzlaf had some turnovers, Stoner had some turnovers. I mean, there were a lot of players that had turnovers in those games that resulted in either real quality chances or, goals. And you have to tip your hat to Coach Quenneville in Game 6. He mixed up the lines. He put Kane and Taves together in Game 6. He had the home ice, so he had the last line change, and he did that throughout the game. It kind of threw the Ducks off. And when they went to Game 7, he did quick line changes, early in the first period, and that also got the Ducks kind of off guard as well. And some of those in-game changes that that he made is just that's part of playoff hockey, and being able to adjust on the fly, I think, was part of it that undid the Ducks, but it was also the turnovers and the slow starts in both games.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that quick changing style because he did the same thing with the Kings series, and he almost pulled it off. And I mean, he went to Game 7 as well at the United Center. And, I mean, it was that's what characterizes the Blackhawks very well. They're a fast-paced team, but that includes their line changes. In fact, that pretty much, that actually cost them in Game 5 in overtime because they looked like they were going for a line change, and they weren't even a minute into the overtime yet. And that was a big turnover for which we mentioned the Ducks capitalized and won the game. So, it is an easy series to say that there wasn't any true loser here. I just think that it was just so well played on both sides. Certainly, both teams had their mistakes. It was a series for which you can come out of that and say, that was just a great series. And it was one where, and I hate the concept of there being a curse in Ducks Game 7s at home. That's ridiculous. I mean, again, these are great teams, and I'm including Anaheim in this. This has just been a fun team. Imagine this, Mike. They played this season without Teemu Selanne, not only a very good leader, but one of the more productive players in the team 2 years ago, last year. They haven't really missed a beat. I think this team is still very good, and they're just getting started. Don't you think so?
Yeah, exactly. This team, Solana went out, and a lot of us wanted him to play one more year. He kept doing the 1 year re-up contracts, and he ended up not coming back. And we had a lot of young talent that stepped up this season, and Murray did an excellent job at the trade deadline, getting some more players as well. And the team was ready to go. I think that they, still could have gotten, as far as the Cup final, one game short. But I try to tell the fans, not to get too upset about it, because they're going to be back for a couple years. The Blackhawks are a good team. They pulled it off. The Ducks could have done earlier, like we talked about, especially games 2 and 4 that went to overtime. But this team's going to be good for a while. They've got a lot of young talent. Most of the guys are all signed through 2016, so they should be fine. And it's going to be exciting times in Anaheim for several years to come. Yeah, and
I share that excitement. I mean, it'll be a fun, and that's what's important here. It's not just the winning. It's the way that they win these games. Very fun to watch, and I think they're hardly done with their stamp on the history of the NHL. Mike Walters is our guest. He hosts the Ducks and Pucks podcast at ducksandpucks.com. It's a nice rundown and it's a pretty complete broadcast if you want to check it out. So you can find it on iTunes or on YouTube, as my show is, Ducks and Pucks podcast. Very good program. And Mike, just one thing I did see that was lacking in the series that really was a theme throughout the whole series. The power play did not convert as we would have hoped with the Ducks. Can you speak to what was missing in the power play during this series, or is that just something that can come within time? Or is it, so what was your takeaway from the power play throughout the course of this series with Chicago?
Yeah, the power play did not do as well, and especially the penalty killing too as well. Both not effective against Chicago. Part of the problem with the Ducks power play was getting set up and getting quality chances in there. Sometimes the guys look a little bit too fancy to try to make a quality pass and get a shot that way, when instead they should just try to shoot it and have a screen in front, get a crazy bounce or deflection or rebound. So getting back to basics on the power play, I think would have helped them. This was a problem for the Ducks all season long. They had the third worst power play in the league, and we were worried about the power play going into the playoffs, which it did really well against the Jets and the Flames, and then it just didn't do as well against the Blackhawks. So it's something that they need to address, and I'm hoping that we get fixed, in the off season, in September when when fall training comes up for the Ducks.
A little baseball in the brain, Mike. I can dig it.
Yeah, a little bit. The Angels too.
Angel fan too. Cool. Yeah, boy, that's been a fun. The Angels have been having a blast, no pun intended, with the home runs. A lot of home runs in that Angels-Rays series. A little off topic, but by the way, we may as well talk about it. We've got some time. Pujols hits the 500 home run mark. Big news.
Yeah.
His career in Anaheim not too shabby.
Yeah, he's been an added bonus, for the Angels. We just got to try to get more consistent with the pitching all the way around, right. And maybe the Angels can make another deep run this year. They also too had an exit last year in the playoffs. That was disappointing after such a great regular season.
But the silver lining to that is that the Royals went on to go to the World Series, so it's not all bad. I mean, at least you can say, well, they lost the team that eventually made the World Series and pushed the Giants to 7. So. Yeah, pitching would be the problem, I think, with the Angels. I agree with you there. Seems like their bullpen's all right, though, but I'm not as close to the Angels as I am with the Dodgers. All right, let's get back to the Ducks. So we mentioned the offseason, and the two free agents on the table, Matt Bolesky, the left winger, and Francois Beauchemin, the defenseman. And it seems like there's a decent chance that both guys stay. Where do you see the Ducks handling these two players? Will they re-sign both?
It sounds like Murray wants to keep both, and it sounds like both of them want to stay in Anaheim. The question's just going to be, money, obviously. The Ducks have about $17 million in cap space. The issue is really going to be next season. They're going to have a lot of RFAs or restricted free agents come the following year. So they have to look ahead 2 seasons, to try and figure out how it's going to work out. Bolesky had a great season, 30 goals, 22 during the season, 8 in the playoffs, and he still missed 17 games with injuries. So he had a breakout season. I thought a lot of it was attributed to Ryan Kessler. And being on the second line with Silverberg really worked out, and the playoffs for them on that second line was great. Beauchemin wants to come back too. He played well too. So they just got to figure out the money situation. I'm hoping that they can keep both. But it's going to be difficult, and that's what Murray said, trying to figure out the logistics with all the other young talent for the next couple of years. So I would really like to see him keep both, but I don't know that they will. I think they may only keep one of the two. But again, I would like to see them both stay.
There would be, and I agree with you. They've really made some stellar contributions at certain points of the season. Mike Walters is our guest. He hosts the Ducks and Pucks podcast. You can find it on iTunes or on YouTube. And we are discussing the Ducks off-season after their Game 7 loss over the weekend against the Chicago Blackhawks. Well, let's look at the other available options on the table in the off-season. Are there any players that you can think of who, number one, are available for this off-season, and two, would be a great fit for the Ducks? Anyone come to mind?
Well, I think if they keep Beauchemin and Bolesky, I don't really think the Ducks need to make a move. There are some defensemen out there. I mean, Cody Franzen's one name that's come up before. Mike Green's another name that's come up before. I would like to see the Ducks try to get more shutdown defensemen to try and take out whoever they face next year in the playoffs, because I think they're going to be back there again. And that was kind of the issue because Kane and Taves kind of ran wild the last 4 games of that series. And that's something that I think the Ducks are going to need if they're really going to get to the Stanley Cup final. This team was good enough to get there, don't get me wrong. But
right.
I think if they really want to push, that's what they're going to need to do. I just don't know if they'll do it in the off season. I think that they may wait, go through the regular season with who they have, because don't forget they have James Wisniewski, who didn't see a shift of ice time in the playoffs. Right. Who's a quality player. He could be back in there. He can also help on a power play, to go to one of your other questions. Botman's been the quarterback for most of the season, but Wisniewski obviously can do that as well with his hard shots on the blue line. So there's some tinkering that's probably going to go on, I would think, during the beginning of the season. But I wouldn't put it past Murray to, if he doesn't pull somebody in the off season, he may try and work some more magic on the trade deadline. We've seen him do it for a couple of years now. It's something that could happen very well again.
No, actually, that's a very good point. I mean, I think some of those trades have been very fruitful, no doubt about it. So now to chat about the Ducks going forward. We've already addressed the off season. This is a very. I think my question was more about I lost my train of thought, Mike. This is very fascinating. But as far as the Ducks, yeah, this is certainly a team that really has been going places. Oh, here we go. This is what I was going to ask about. Goaltender. The Frederik Andersen has had. It's interesting because I don't think anyone really confuses him for Price or for Lundqvist or anybody else, but he has done a pretty good job most of the year. And he emerged in a situation where they were really trading between guys. I remember that at one point, maybe it was due to injury, but I remember Andrei Brezgalov was part of that goaltender rotation early in the year. So do you feel like Andersen is the guy for the short-term future of the Ducks at goal? Or do you feel like they could continue to try to explore other options?
I would have said Anderson would have been the guy before the Blackhawks series, and even probably through the first 3 games. The first 3 games, only 5 goals were scored by Chicago. In the last 4, there was 19, scored. One of them an empty netter. But I think it's going to be an open competition come in September. I think Gibson is a quality goaltender. I think he can do the job just as good, if not better than Anderson. So I really think when the season starts, we're going to see who's going to emerge as the number 1. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be a good competition because I think the net was to lose for Anderson in the last couple games. Unfortunately, he didn't play as well as we all expected. I'm not putting it all on Anderson, though. Like I said, I'm not singling out a single player like some people have. I think the team defense also let him down, too, as well in those last couple games. That didn't help. But it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be Gibson and Anderson battling it out in the early parts of the season next year to see who's number 1.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think Gibson has shown some flashes of brilliance as well. So see how it goes throughout the preseason, see who ends up emerging as the favorite, and then roll with it. Just as many NHL teams do, they ride the hot hand, and a lot of times it works out. So, it happened with Antoniemi with the Blackhawks years ago when they won their first Cup title. And it's probably the way to go because I agree with you. It's not like there's anything distinctive that would say he stays at this point. It's pretty. I mean, would you say it's even? Maybe not even, but there's a chance that either one could step up. So that's the key. Well, that's about all I have. Any final thoughts? About reflections on the Ducks 2014-15 season?
No, I think they did really well. They got to the Western Conference Final when many people thought that they would lose to the Jets or the Flames. So fans got to be proud. I mean, I know they're disappointed. I'm disappointed too. We expected to go, at least to the final. But you got to try to look at the positive. And the Ducks made some serious strides this season. They picked up a lot of great players, and they're going to play well for the next couple seasons. So there's going to be some exciting hockey in Anaheim, and the fans are going to, get to see a lot of quality games coming up. And there's nothing to hold their heads down about. I mean, it is frustrating to lose Game 7, but they lost to a great team. Chicago's a really good team. They have a core that's been there for several years, and that's what the Ducks are going to aim to do, is try to build off their core for the next several years and, compete for several seasons to come.
Yep, and I think they are, as you said, a lot of the way there. Mike, this has been a tremendous pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on the program. It's been a good time. And many kudos to you and the Ducks for a good season, and enjoy the off season. Mike, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
You bet it. All right, take care. All right, so Mike Walters on the program tonight. Just a tremendous spot. Pucks and Ducks podcast, if you want to check that out, pucksandducks.com.
Dave in the city. It's Dave in the city.
All right, so we've just covered some great NHL talk, and coming up in our second hour, we will talk about the NBA Finals, and it is really going to be a great moment for basketball, especially basketball in the Bay Area. So Tom in New Jersey and Andy in Seattle will join us in just about a minute, but we will quickly go to break, and hope you're enjoying it tonight on the program. That's our closing theme. We'll return in just about 30 seconds, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Doc Rivers continues to time and time again not get it when it comes to getting... Oh! Let him play!
How Connecticut are you? Are you wearing khakis and a polo? Regarding Lynch, who cares? What was he going to do today? Was he going to address each report? Oh, thank you for the question.
Cap ran through the entire Yankee lineup, but he left out one guy, and his name is Alex Rodriguez.
I like to try and forget about him because.
From Los Angeles, this is Dave in the City, brought to you by Locks of the Week Radio. Now, here's Dave Medina.
Hour number 2 in our program tonight. Great interview with Mike Walters of the Ducks and Pucks podcast. So glad to have him on the show. Really knows his Ducks. Tremendous stuff. It's two things when we talk to fellas who follow the teams that they love. It is not only that they know what they know their team. It is that they share the passion for their team in a fashion that I think we all can appreciate, and certainly Mike does that. So good to have him as a new member of the Dave in the City family. I can't wait to get him back on the show. That was really good. So if you want to follow him on Twitter, it's at ducksandpucks.com. That's Ducks, the letter N, Pucks on Twitter. Very, very cool. So now we get to our NBA Finals coverage. It's going to be one for the books because this is the first time in my lifetime I've been on this planet for 33 years, like the RPM of a record. And this is the first time I've seen the Warriors in the NBA Finals. And this is not the first time I've seen LeBron James in the NBA Finals. This is his 5th Finals in a row. That's impressive, certainly. There's really no way around it. I mean, switching teams and taking a pile of rubble to the NBA Finals. Well, it ended up being a pile of rubble. It didn't start off that way, but it ended that way. Taking that to the NBA Finals, really just a great, great job by LeBron James, and a really a testament to his willpower, his will to win, and his overall great talent. And he meets one of the most exciting, most dynamic, most brilliant to watch teams of the recent era. The Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, the Splash Brothers. And they have been making a splash during the entire playoffs. They've been off and on. They've had their injury concerns. Klay Thompson was battling concussion symptoms at the end of the Western Conference Finals, but he is cleared to play. He passed the concussion tests, and he will be representing in Game 1. The question is, how much is he going to play? The same question applies to the Cavs' clear number 2 player, Kyrie Irving, who is incredibly clutch when he's healthy. Unfortunately, he's not. He's got tendonitis of the knee, and doctors have speculated that he may not be able to play all the games in the series in a row. It's a very questionable status for him as we begin Game 1 tomorrow night on ABC at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So to get us through this exciting preview, to help us break it all down, and to bring some fun along the way, along with some other sports topics which we'll address at the bottom of the hour, we start our NBA Finals preview with Tom in New Jersey and Andy in Seattle. And Tom is not on the line with us yet, but Andy is, so we will jump him on the program first. Andy, welcome to the show. Good to have you back. We've been covering the NBA playoffs all year. How's it going tonight, Andy?
Oh, fantastic, Dave. Thanks for having me on the program. Hopefully hour number 1 success.
It was.
And looking forward to talking about the NBA and whatever else is going to be on the itinerary. Just going with the flow. You know how we do. Met game, Stanley Cup, Dodger game, delay, sunset. Just your typical Wednesday. LOL Hibbert.
Yeah, it's a beautiful time right now. I love this time of the year, and it's gorgeous everywhere, just about. I mean, I'm sure it's no different in Seattle. I saw some of the Seattle game today. The weather looked great.
Well, Monday was rainy. Yesterday was overcast. They had the roof on the whole day, whole game, all 9 innings. And I heard through the grapevine that Susan Waldman was displaying to the quad 9 before the game, that she hadn't seen the sun in 3 days here. Oh, I'm so sorry, Susan Waldman, you haven't seen the sun in 3 days. But I heard it was raining in Boston and New York too. And lo and behold, the sun came out, so she can shut her trap. Sorry, Susan. Sorry you didn't get 75 degrees, 100% blue skies, 0% humidity, shrimp cocktail. Deal with it. Your team just swept the Mariners. You're 4-3 on the road trip. Everything you touch turns to gold. So you're complaining about minutia.
Absolutely. And she has a big mouth, so shutting that is no small feat. My goodness. Yeah, that by the way, that was a disappointing series for the Mariners. I mean, look, you're at home losing all 4 of those games, and they had great opportunities to score. I mean, even today, they had the bases loaded, and how many outs were there? Like 1 in the 8th inning, or was it 2? Was it 0 outs? And they didn't. I don't think they.
One out.
One out.
Bases loaded.
Yep.
Bases loaded. 1 out. He got Logan Morrison to strike out. It was 3-0 at one point, and Miller fought back to strike him out. Here's the thing right now with the Mariners. They made a trade. They got Trumbo. The advanced stat purist hates the deal because it dilutes their defensive range. It weakens their defense, because Nelson Cruz and Trumbo, if they're playing, they occupy left and right field respectively, they're going to, routine fly balls become harder, and it's going to affect their pitching. But, that is the least of the problems right now. They just can't score, so they got to inject something in their lineup. Think about the Mariners the past 3 games. So the 3-game series, the Yankees had the broomsticks out. The series before the lost 3 out of 4 to the Indians. They had just come off a really good road trip. And so when you come off these road trips and you got an 11-game homestand, Uncle Momentum's on your side. You're ready to go, ready to rise like a phoenix. And then you lose, you lose 6 out of 7 games in your homestand. That's basically taking all that house money you generated from a good road trip and just flushing it down the toilet. So, they got poo in the pants out here. Can't blame them. Ship be sinking, but it's early. It's early. There's a lot of baseball left to be played, but the Mariners, they have to be at the bottom of the league when it comes to average with runners in scoring position. They were literally like 2 for 17 the other night. Like that's ugly, bud. That is ugly.
That is indeed. Well, it was good. That was fun to talk about the Mariners for a moment. Let's now bring in Tom in New Jersey to the program. Tom, welcome back to the show. We've had a great time discussing NBA all playoffs long. How's it going tonight, Tom?
I am good, Dave. One question. Have you seen my baseball? Have you seen my baseball? Andy, have you seen my baseball? Hey, me.
I actually have seen it. I have seen it. If you're good during the program.
Is that the new one? Have you seen my baseball? Is that a new?
That's from. That's from. Is there something about Mary with Ben Stiller?
Of course.
True story.
That's right. I forgot all about that movie. That's right. That's a good job out of you. Bad job out of me. That was a funny movie. Okay, guys. Well, here we are. The NBA Finals coming up tomorrow, and I think you ask around, and I think most people have for good reason, they have the Warriors winning this contest. But I get the sense that these games individually could be good games. Let's get your initial outlook on this matchup. Andy, I'll start with you. What do you see with the Warriors and all that talent matching up with LeBron, which is a lot of talent just by himself, and a depleted roster? How do you see this one going? Well, what's your first look at this matchup?
Well, I think anybody that hand waves the NBA from November to now, I think you'll get a large segment of them that will pay attention to the matchup because it's star power. I know Golden State's not a big market. I don't give two F's about that, though. But it's entertaining basketball. So the casual fan's going to be into it. It's not New Jersey, San Antonio, circa 2003. It's two teams that display good basketball, entertaining basketball. And that when sports are entertaining, that basically brings eyeballs to the set. And if you ask me who's going to win, I don't know at the moment. I mean, maybe I'll never know. But game to game, wishful thinking, hope it goes 7. Partially because I love the Groundhog Day experience of, like, why is the game starting? Why does it take so long to start the game? Why? Just start the game already. First it was David Stern, now it's Silver. Get the game started right. Well, hey, genius. One of the teams is from the West Coast. You're going to expect the season tickets of the Golden State Warriors to get out of work early
arguably at the minimum of 2 times, just so Mr. East Coast can get his game started on at 8 o'clock. It doesn't work that way. So, yeah, accept it and move on. 6 o'clock out here in the West Coast, idiots. And,
No one cares about the West Coast.
Okay. New York City's the best. Best bagels, best pizza, best water. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But it's going to be LeBron versus Curry. I think Golden State, although they're, we said it a million times on this program, they're, first thing that they're associated with are their three-point shooting. But I think they offer a lot of matchup problems for LeBron. Any one of those guys in the starting lineup is probably going to take their turn, guarding LeBron just so they can kind of confuse him up and down the court, whether it's going to be, Bogut one time down the court or maybe even Harrison Barnes one time down the court, Mr. Thompson halfway down the court. And so, I think it's going to be very entertaining basketball. I'm curious to see what Mr. Tom has to say about this series.
Yeah, Tom, it's all yours. What do you make of this matchup? What are your first thoughts about this NBA Finals matchup?
Well, first things first, I like the format, how it 2-2, 1-1-1.
Yep, second year of that.
I like first year back with that. I hated the 2-3-2. Couldn't stand that.
Bingo.
Second thing, if you like basketball, a little bit, you should love this series. This is going to be a tremendous series, in my opinion. Third thing, the NBA playoffs so far have been an absolute dud. It's been a bore fest. The NBA really needs a good series here.
Yeah.
I think the ratings should be good. The matchups are great. I think the only matchup the NBA would rather have than this is maybe Cleveland and the Spurs, but I don't think they would want that. Well, I guess so. But this is a marquee matchup. Maybe Cleveland Clippers, but this is a great matchup. They got I think Curry was first in jersey sales this past year, so they have the MVP, a very popular player. There's nothing you can't not like about Curry. He's a great kid. He does everything right. That beautiful
He's not
daughter,
a fraud like Chris
beautiful
Paul.
family.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not all me like it is with LeBron. He doesn't talk about himself constantly like LeBron does. So it should be a very good series. I'll give you my prediction later, but I'm looking forward to it, Dave.
I am too. This is going to be very pretty basketball. I think. Now, the one thing about the Cavaliers that's a problem is that their defense is pretty bad. Their defensive efficiency is rated in the 20s. Not good for an NBA Finals team, and it's also the lowest defensive efficiency rating for an NBA Finals contender since 2001 when the Lakers made it. That stat is misleading, though, because the Lakers, by that point, when they got to the playoffs, it seemed like they were just lollygagging the previous 6 months of the season, and then they suddenly just played unbelievable defense when the playoffs started. So I feel like even at that, this is a very weak defensive team, but it's improved. They got the trade that brought in Iman Shumpert, Tristan Thompson. It's a better defensive team now. Do you think that Andy actually talked about it already? How they're just going to be, well, what Golden State was going to do to guard LeBron, but what are the Cavs going to do to defend guys like Steph Curry? Are they going to just put Shumpert on him, or they try to mix it up? What do you think the defensive assignments will be in this series, Tom?
I think it's going to be Shumpert on Curry, and if Shumpert doesn't do a good job, they're going to put LeBron on him late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see. LeBron, I don't think was all NBA defense this year. Defense last year wasn't great either, but obviously he has what it takes to be an all-time defender. I think he wasn't on the best defensive team, so the last 2 years he had to do a lot of help work on defense, so that probably hurt him a lot. But I think LeBron's going to guard him late, and we'll see. LeBron called Kyrie Irving and Curry two of the best dribblers in NBA history. So
Dribblers.
I think he's doing a lot of praising.
Oh, I got
right
you. I
now,
got you. I got
so
you. I got you.
We'll see.
Yeah. I was gonna say because
Two
they
of the best dribblers.
No, they are really good dribblers. I just was thinking more about their passing than their dribbling, but they do dribble really well. That's a good point. I was just a little thrown off because I think of passing and shooting, but dribbling is a part of the package. I mean, they're good at everything. They're great all-around players, which was a lost art for a while, but now these guys have really brought it back, and I think that's really what makes this team really great. And see, the thing is, like you might think a Laker fan would hate the Warriors because they're from the Bay Area. We don't. We don't care. Like we like them. We appreciate them. There's no rivalry between the Lakers and the Warriors, and if there is, it's in the Warriors' head. I just don't see it. So, Andy, let's talk about defense. Cleveland's defense was lacking throughout the season. What do you think they can do to defend this very deep, talented roster from Golden State?
Well, they'll need their fans to get on their feet and go, defense! Bum, bum. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just messing around. I'm not a big Blatt guy, but they say he's really good. No, I'm just kidding. They don't really say those things about David Blatt. David Blatt gets a Spolestra treatment. He's just like LeBron is carrying him around, and basically he's the de facto head coach. But Shumpert is your basic defensive guy, if I'm not mistaken. He was a defensive guru for the Knicks,
yep.
Truth be told. And, because he's got he's a big player for a guard. And, more times than not, I think in this series, it's not going to be like who is the better defender team for all 48 minutes. It's who's going to actually make the big stop in the fourth quarter, because it's offense is going to control this series. It's not the Spurs. It's not even a team like the Clippers, who had at least a little more emphasis on defense. It's not going to be your 1989, 1992 Knicks Heat, Knicks Bulls, Knicks Pistons, Knicks kind of knockdown drag-out fight where, the analysis would be 90% defense. It's going to be offense. And then, like I said, who's going to get defensive stops at the right time when, sorry, I'm on the street right now, so there's cars going by me. Shumpert. I don't know. And then, I don't know, J.R. Smith in a big spot here and there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like a Knicks game. Like, remember we would say if these two guys can step up, they will have a shot at. They'll have a good shot at winning the game. Like, remember that, Tommy? Like, they would talk about the Knicks and they'd be like, well, if J.R. Smith could have a good game, that would really help. So it's kind of similar with the Cavs, and it makes sense though, because we don't know how good Irving is going to be. And Andy, I'll go back to you for a second. Kyrie Irving looks pretty beat up. How many games can he be effective in this series?
Well, right now I'm just going to be like Gamble or Mike, just using zero analysis or facts, anything. It's just opinion. So if I'm right, I'll say called it.
Right.
And if I'm wrong, then everyone else, I'm emailing Mushnick about you. You said this would happen. Listen, I don't know what Kyrie is going to give you. Does anybody know? Everyone's so mum right now. It's like NFL with injuries. Like, hurt. We know he might play. We don't know if he's going to play for sure, though, but we know he might play. His status is questionable. That much is for certain. So if he's 80%, that's great. If he's 100%, which he's probably not, that'd be even greater. But if he's like 50%, then it's like Derrick Rose for an 82-game season. Always hobbled, always banged up. He's going to look awful for stretches. He's going to look like he's never played basketball before. But if he's not, then he's going to, if Irving is Irving, then he's Irving. And if he's not, then he's just going to be, banged up and not quite useless, but close to useless. And I think we'll find out after 2 games, which Irving we're all watching.
That's the key. And it's going to be a big key for the series too. So let's go to Tom. How much can Kyrie Irving bring to the table given his limited health?
I think the week and a half off helps him a lot. I expect him to be close to 100%. I don't think it's as bad as 50-50 as Andy says. I think he's closer to 100%. Obviously, they need him. If he doesn't play well, they're doomed. They're not going to win more than one game if he's not there. I don't care how great LeBron is. They're going to need a second player to play well, and you can't rely on J.R. Smith to score 20 points a game like Kyrie would have. It's not going to happen. You can't rely on him.
Right.
But obviously he's the X factor in the series. If he's healthy, it's definitely going to help the Cavs situation.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel like the whole series, I feel like Golden State will be having the upper hand from the very beginning of the series until the Cavs get a lead in the series. So if Irving can just provide, minutes, and I wouldn't even say whole games, just like good minutes and moments, big shots in critical spots, which he's done. He's done it a lot this year. For a guy that young, he's been tremendous at stepping up in the moment.
Well, dude, when he's healthy, he's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of unfortunate that he has to be he's labeled an X factor because of the injury, but
Yep.
when he's 100%, he's a fucking star, excuse my language. You remember that Spurs-Cavs game from the, I think it was like beginning of March? They really wanted that game, and that fourth quarter was amazing. Irving was nuts. I think he scored like 50-something points. But I don't think you're going to get that. Maybe you get it for one game,
right?
But not night in and not night out because of this injury.
That's too bad. I mean, even the one game, though, could be a good difference in this series because we know that what LeBron will bring it in this series, and that's one thing I think we can be assured of. Like sometimes you'll see LeBron has an off game. He was off against the Bulls. There's no way around that. But here, I don't see that. I think he's going to have a very big series, and if they lose, it won't necessarily be because of him. So let's talk about LeBron's contribution. This is a silly topic because we know he's going to play great, but let's get into it anyway. Tom, LeBron in this series, he's been there so many times before, even in the finals. What are we going to be seeing from LeBron this week? Tom in New Jersey.
I really hope we don't see LeBron shooting 36 times like he did in the last series. His outside shot has been abysmal. He'd be the first to admit that. He hasn't been shooting well. He's been forcing the issue, but he's LeBron, so he's doing everything else. He's taking all the shots. He's taking all the credit. That's why you need Kyrie Irving to play well, because they can't rely on this against Golden State. They won 68 games for a reason. If they win this championship, you're going to have to put Golden State probably in the top 10 of greatest teams of all time.
Yeah.
They rolled through the Western Conference, I thought.
They are good,
They
though.
weren't tested until the last series. And even so, that series only won 6. So LeBron's going to have to bring it. He's going to have to shoot a lot better from the outside, Dave.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, you have to be on your A game anyway in the NBA Finals. It doesn't matter who you are, but especially LeBron, because they depend so much on him. He needs to be there from the outside as well as the inside. So, Andy, let's chat about LeBron. What do you expect him to do as the NBA Finals begins?
Oh, you expect him to score close to 30 points a game.
Yep.
That's what he does. But like Tommy said, if he forces the issue, it's all about how he looks scoring and if it's within the rhythm and the flow of the team. I mean, they could be down 15, and then LeBron is just going to mentally just going bounce, 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 and just jack it up. You know, that would not be beneficial for their chances. And it's weird. Sometimes you watch LeBron play, or if you don't watch him play like Mike and only watch highlights or read box scores, you see,
why did he not go to the foul line more than like 4 times? The guy could literally go to the foul line anytime he wants. So that's another X factor. Is he getting to the foul line? Because if he gets to the foul line when he wants to, if he wants to, when he wants to, that's like what? That's an easy 8 to 10 points right there. And but if he's just selling on his jump shot, which is when it's on, I mean, he'll make fadeaways from behind the arc. He'll make 30-footers with the shot clock falling down. He'll make just amazing shots. You make it look easy, and then you're like, wow, he's like one of the best jump shooters in the league. Well, then there are other times where he looks like Derrick Rose shooting threes, and it's clank, 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 timeout, clank, clank, clank. And in this day and age, everybody tries to, like, he's flawless. But even the great guys like MJ had awful shooting nights. So I think if the Warriors can get away with off shooting nights from their stars more than Cleveland will. If LeBron has like a 4 for 19 shooting performance, there's probably a very snowball chance in hell of winning that game. But if Klay Thompson goes like 3 for 15 for the Warriors can still definitely win.
I like it. And, I really think...
Same with Curry.
No, I absolutely. I mean, I think Curry and Thompson, if they end up teaming up and they let's say they average about 25 points for the series, they are solid because they have so much behind them. They've got Barnes, who's had a very nice playoffs. They've got Livingston coming off the bench, Barbosa coming off the bench. It's certainly, there's a lot of guys that can step up and have stepped up in this series for Golden State. So let's talk about the predictions now for the Warriors.
Can I say one more thing? Sorry about this.
Yours.
Tommy alluded to it earlier with Curry and Thompson. Granted, 9 out of 10 times, the two of them are being interviewed after the game, but whether it's lip service or not, I don't think it is. I think it's genuine. They're always stressing the fact that it's a team game, and they always give credit to the backups and, like you said, Harrison Barnes or Draymond Green or Andrew Bogut. They'll always give credit to the guys after the game. Be like, we're the primary guys, obviously, but we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the rest of the team. Where when it's LeBron getting interviewed, it sounds a little disingenuous whenever he tries to allude to it being a team effort. He's always like, I gotta do a better job of getting my teammates involved. Like, no shit you do, but maybe, but that's not what they're about, to be honest. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. If LeBron is like completely honest, he's gonna say, this team's only going as far as it's all on me. But if obviously he can't really say that because then all the guys like, not Mushnick, but Bayless and Stephen A. Smith and Woody Pavin. Oh, LeBron, how can you be so selfish? But he is. That's why he's really good. That's why they're there.
Yeah. It's different styles of play. I mean, it works one way for some people. It works another way for the others. And, it's interesting because you can talk about guys being unselfish almost to a fault in some cases. Like Kevin Durant doesn't seem to step up enough in the big moments, always trying to deflect the situation. Although he's made some big shots too. But my point is that there's different ways to approach the game. But I like the way that the Warriors approach the game, and I feel like this is the formula that's going to win. But we'll see. We'll see.
Let's ask Tommy this question. Tommy.
Go ahead.
If Klay Thompson and Carmelo Anthony traded places, would the Warriors be exactly what they are right now with Carmelo at the helm, or do you think Carmelo would be too butthurt, too out of his comfort zone, having to share, primary scoring duties with Curry?
Tough call. I would say Golden State would not have 68 wins. They would have about 56. So Carmelo would be 12 wins worse than Klay Thompson is with Curry. But on the other hand, I know this is exhibition and it's not as important, but Carmelo did play amazing with the U.S. national team, the Olympic team. So, on the other hand, he does play well with other great players. I really think Melo, a lot of the hate towards him isn't there. They throw him the ball with 5 seconds left on the shot clock, and they're like, do it. Take the shot. The Knicks rely on Carmelo a little bit too much. I know Melo likes that, but if he had a good point guard, I think he'd
I see the wind is joined the conversation tonight. That's a great analysis, though. It's the truest chicken-egg scenario with Carmelo Anthony. Is he not a passer because he doesn't have anybody to pass it to, or does he not have anybody to pass it to because he keeps taking the shots all the time? We just, it's really tough to evaluate that. I mean, we will really not know until we actually put him on a team that already had all these guys around him. So I just don't know.
I think Denver. He had some support in Denver, but it didn't work out.
Yep, did not work out.
They got to the Western Conference Finals.
They
Not
did.
Like it sucked.
Well, they did. No, you're right. They did. I remember that. That was a good finals. That was not 2009, the West Final against the Lakers. Yeah, that was a good series. But yeah, I mean, taking it up another notch. I think you got to commit to. Well, I mean, you got to commit to playing together. And so I'm not sure. I don't really have an answer. I don't really know myself. That's a toughie. Maybe we're wondering.
He's got to get better players around him. Your second best player can't be J.R. Smith. I mean, come on.
all right.
Or like Tyson Chandler, who doesn't even know how to create his own shot. I mean, I don't get what people want him to do with the talent around him. Give him an actual point guard and one other player who might not. I'll take Jeff Green, like someone who can. Jimmy Butler, someone who can score 16 a game. Like anyone, come on. Embarrassing.
I think Jimmy Butler.
The team's a joke.
Well, no, the Knicks have a lot.
Jimmy Butler, and Jeff Green aren't on the same level.
No.
I'm just saying they need a second player.
You said 16 points a game. I think Butler's way better than that. I think he could do like 25 points.
Not.
Well, you don't think so?
He finished with like 18.
All right.
Butler
He's young,
started
though.
off really hot, but then he cooled down. I think he finished with like 18.
All right. Well, maybe 22. Let me check that. But Andy, see, that was a great question, Andy. Any further thoughts from you on Carmelo Anthony and his talent around him? Like, where do you weigh in on that?
Oh, I was just trying to give Tommy somewhat of a hard time because I know how much of a huge Knick fan he is and somewhat of a Knick apologist. Mm-hmm. But I get it. I get the defense of Carmelo Anthony. I get the criticism of Carmelo Anthony. So I know he's getting older, though, that's for sure. So his window to be this premier numero uno guy, it's closing a little bit year by year. And we could just expand the podcast to the travesty that is New York Knicks basketball.
You would certainly have a lot of material.
That'd be off limits.
All right, but we will stay with basketball because over the last week we got a rumor. Well, first two things actually. We'll talk about Hoiberg's coach in a moment, but let's first talk about the number 2 pick rumors. And I read on Yahoo that there was a rumor going that the Lakers had an idea to trade the number 2 pick in the draft to the Sacramento Kings straight up for DeMarcus Cousins. That really got my attention because I was thinking, boy, that is a risk to do. It's also a risk for Sacramento because they're giving away a sure, solid player, potential, basically an all-star player, even though he didn't. I don't remember if he actually made the all-star team. He may have had as a reserve. But for all intents and purposes, he's an all-star. He's a great player. Great forward, interior player. Really good. What do you make of this prospect, of this trade? Is this a good idea for either team? So, Tom, we'll start with you first on the rumored Lakers number 2 pick for DeMarcus Cousins trade. Is this a good idea?
I think if the Lakers are floating that rumor, I think they know that Towns is definitely going first. And after Towns' workout and how impressive it was and how he was making all of these threes, after I said how that's all he did in high school, I'm not surprised.
Called it.
Called it, exactly.
Yep.
But I'm not that surprised that the Cousins rumors have already started. I've expected this. I think he has 2 years left on his deal. He's not staying with Sacramento. Sacramento knows they're not resigning him. He's going elsewhere. He doesn't like the head coach. They got rid of the previous head coach, and he doesn't like the new one either. So I expect them to try and trade Cousins. Maybe the Lakers aren't that high on Okafor. I wouldn't be. Maybe they don't want a point guard. Maybe they feel like their window is only a year left with Kobe, so they want Cousins, and all that matters is selling tickets and getting into the playoffs. Seems like the Lakers are kind of like the Knicks, where it's not about winning championships. It's about getting to the playoffs and getting those playoff games and maxing out as much money as they can get. But I'm not surprised that the Cousins rumors have started. I expected them to.
Yeah, and my reaction to the rumors is that I just think it's a big risk. I think it's a risk because while DeMarcus Cousins is a great player, consider what you did to get that number 2 pick. They lost a ton of games. They had to make concessions in their roster just to keep that flow going. They brought up D-leaguers. Guys got hurt. They really just sold out and decided to put themselves in position to lose as many games as they could. And it happened. And I'm just like, this is a golden opportunity. How do you know that you're not going to get a franchise player out of this off the boat? Well, not off the boat, but out of the gate. That's what I meant to say. I think that DeMarcus Cousins is definitely a great player. But I think both sides lose on this trade if it happens. But that's just my preliminary look at it. Andy, let's see what you think of a proposed Lakers, Kings, number 2 pick for DeMarcus Cousins trade.
I'm anti because the other rumor is that the Celtics are going to go ham and hard after DeMarcus. So I hope the LA rumor is false, because it's all about me. And I think Cousins would be great in green, my babies. I have a soft spot for certain Mongos. He's a different Mongo than someone like Dwight Howard, because Cousins, his effort is not an issue with Cousins.
Right.
That's kind of like the other stuff. He gets into it. He's, him and Marcus Smart almost got in 2 brawls in their respective games against one another, Sacramento and Boston. So it's harnessing that, when he does get super aggressive, whether it's against the opposition, his own teammates, his coach, it's harnessing that energy and using it to do something good. And he's freaking young. I mean, he's still a baby. He still has a ceiling that can be established and developed. I think he averaged either 24 points a game, 13 rebounds or something like that. He is a stud. So if the Lakers got him, I'd be like, boo-hoo. I want him on my team. I think if the Lakers were to do it, like Tommy said, I don't think there'd be that much of a curve needed. I mean, Kobe can assimilate with anybody this side of Smush Parker, but I mean, fuck Kobe. You got 1 year left. You got DeMarcus Cousins. He averaged 25 points a game. Make it work. It's your last year before you're going to ride into the sunset. So the Lakers do it. That's cool. If the Celtics end up making that deal, that's great as well.
Yeah, I don't like the idea. I think just take it to a much larger concept. I don't like the idea of the Lakers trying to plan around a Kobe retirement season as if they can just put it all together to make a finals run in 1 year. You can't do that. I don't even think the Thunder did that when they got everybody together and out of all those young guys, Durant and Westbrook and Harden and a very talented team, certainly, and Cephalosha, they did not get to the finals in their first try. So I've only seen it work once, and that was the Celtics in 2008 when they made the trades to get Garnett and Pierce.
Yes, they equalized.
Yeah, that's right. And then they had Raid. Wait, are you behind in that hockey telecast? Because it's like 1-1 already.
I'm not. I'm outside, just checking.
Oh,
the
you're
score.
checking on the score. Yeah, because the hockey game is 1-1. Yeah, it was 1-0 Tampa Bay. The Blackhawks tied it up just a few moments ago, and I didn't see the goal. I just saw the score change. So that is the score right now, 1-1. We have 6 minutes to go in the third period. So away we go. Yeah. So again, that's the only time that's the only time I ever saw it work. I don't know what the point of trying to win now is with Kobe in the last year of his deal. I just don't see it. It doesn't make sense to me. So I will offer rebuttals to both of you. Andy, you first. Anything else to say about these trade rumors?
Well, the Celtics was a little different because, Porno Paul wasn't his last year. It was like you've reached the apex of the career. Now you're starting to dwindle down. And let's get this collection of veterans together. Kobe, it's like, if this really is his last year, I don't know. I read like a week ago that he is hinting, like strongly hinting that this is his last year. And it's the Kobe show. And like, are they going to try to incorporate the Derek Jeter retirement blueprint, or are you just going to go quietly off into the sunset? He said he wasn't. Actually, Simmons asked him that in that Grantland program. He said he doesn't want the Derek Jeter tour, but who knows? That remains to be seen. But, you see, Dave, as you mentioned, you see kind of similar blueprints. The Celtics tried to do it. If the Lakers are trying to do that with with DeMarcus and Kobe, that's a different variation of it. The Heat, apparently the Heat are trying to form this super team, but Dwayne Wade isn't going to restructure his deal to make it happen. So you've got this idea, or mutated ideas where, teams want to kind of get a group effort together. More power to them. I mean, if you have teammates sharing the ball and caring and spreading the ball around, I think that makes the overall game a little more fun to watch. And obviously, Kobe, well documented, hard to coexist here and there with teammates. He's very hard-headed, as a lot of great NBA players are. So I think it would be interesting one way or the other.
It would. Well, I'll give you that. I agree with you there. It'll be very interesting if that does go down. Andy, check your phone. I think you've got some good news coming up.
Yeah, 2-1. Gotta get home now. See the last couple minutes of it.
Wait, who scored?
Chicago. It is 2-1.
Chicago.
And the guy who scored was Vermette, who they traded for in the middle of the season. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
Didn't he score, was he the guy that scored in, the triple overtime
game? That
is
correct.
In the Anaheim
Game?
Yes,
the game winner.
Woo! I remember. I'm not like mine.
Get into it. Oh, yeah.
It's a good job out of you, Andy. That is right. He scored the game winner. I think it was the first time he had scored an overtime goal in his history. He's not that old, so good job out of him in this playoffs. Wow. Doing great. So, Tommy, let's...
Rising like a phoenix.
Yep, absolutely. So Chicago coming back in the third period, being down 1-0 for most of the game. We will see if they hang on. There's still a lot of time left. About I don't know, about 5 minutes to go in regulation. All right, so a few other things I want to address tonight, especially because we have the Belmont Stakes, and that really snuck up on us, but I will save that for the end. First, let's chat about the NFL and Yahoo. Yahoo has really risen in the ranks as a great source for NFL information, and they really are, for me, one of the best sources to do fantasy football. It's the only place I go to for fantasy sports, and they've done a pretty good job with it, although they've had their issues over time. Well, Yahoo also covers the NFL in earnest, and they win the rights to live stream exclusively an NFL game in October. It will be the London contest between the Buffalo Bills and Jacksonville Jaguars, October 25th. I saw this break very early in the morning, and our friend Jerry Piscataway absolutely tore that idea apart. He ripped it. He hated it. He absolutely couldn't stand it. And Tom, I sensed you were on board with him with that sentiment. So are you not a fan of Yahoo streaming games as an exclusive partner?
I'm not a fan, but I'm expecting it, and I'm expecting them to keep adding more and more games year after year, like they're doing with the international games in London. I think there's now how many games next year? I mean, they keep adding more and more games, so it's the wave of the future. I understand Jerry not being happy about it, but it is what it is. You have to have the internet. You have to be able to put the internet on your TV. I mean,
paging LT.
Yeah.
How do I turn on my monitor?
Anyone over 40 is gonna hate it. PC Richards is gonna be on overdrive. They're gonna be getting a lot of calls from people like Mike and LT, being like, "Get my computer on my TV. I don't know how to do it. I have to watch this game."
I only got a 386.
I mean, who's gonna be watching? Who's gonna be watching the Jaguars anyway? I mean, they don't have any good fantasy players, so for this one game, no one's gonna care. But the LTs and Mikes of the world aren't gonna like it. I'm not a big fan. I just like it. I guess I'm kind of old school, but I understand technology. I just wish it went a little slower, but Google and Yahoo rule the world, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I have reservations about it too, because I feel like it presents a slippery slope. I like the advancement of technology, and I think, to give you an example, MLB TV is great. I think that's really run really well. That's a solidly well-built machine, and I was singing its praises earlier today when I checked out their new engine for streaming games. Their new player is really good, but it is still easier to watch games on regular networks. And making the games harder, just like boxing did with pay-per-view, is going to reduce the overall popularity of the sport. That's just my opinion. But that's the one thing I'm worried about with this whole developing technological advance with the NFL. I mean, I'm glad they finally got around to it. I mean, they've been behind the times on technology and streaming for a long time. But now that they're here, I am concerned about them moving too many games off of the free slots. And if you spread out the games that much, you're going to lose your grip on the popularity of the sport, because it's like the only sport right now where you can reliably look for the games in specific spots, like 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. and 8 on Sunday on like the same two channels. So you're going to lose it if they go all in with this online plan. That's my only concern about it. I like the idea of it. I'm just wondering if it's not too much of a slippery slope towards making this sport too much of a niche. Like it could become that if it's too spread out. So, Annie, sorry to ramble like that. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Another thing is that this 9 a.m. game thing that's gonna keep going. I mean, the ratings from it last year were great. They're gonna keep doing that. There's a lot of people like Checker and a lot of die-hard football fans who will watch football for 14 hours a day. It doesn't matter. They don't have wives. They don't have girlfriends. They don't have wives. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're going to be watching it
Tom.
all day and night, and there's a lot of people like that. There's just go on dmikefrancesa.com. You can see tons of people like that. I can't name them all, but you know who I'm talking about. Mr. Friday Night on the board. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are big fans of watching TV at weird times, and 9 a.m. Sunday morning, they're all in.
All right. Well, we got to get Andy's feel for this new developing technology. Let's talk about the NFL's attempt to move games to the internet. Andy, There's 37 seconds left in the hockey game, but where do you stand on all this?
Honestly, I'm indifferent. I mean, everybody had a takeaway, I feel like, this morning. Like, oh, why is it on Google? Why is it going to be on Google? Why is it going to be on Google? If it's on Yahoo, all my fantasy team's going to freeze it up. They can't even get fantasy football right, and now they're going to have a streaming service for the game? Like, well, who's on my Google? I want it on my Google. Who cares? Seriously, pipe down. Season doesn't even start for another 4 months. And if it's a bust, it's a bust. If it's not a bust, it's not a bust. You cannot worry about things that are not in your control. And none of us, I don't know, maybe someone that we know is related to Yahoo, then they have a case. But, you know, everything's one big space race now, okay? Like, oh, this company's going to be the first to do this, and then this company's going to be the first to do that, and then this company's going to be give out an invitation. You got to have it first. You got to have it first. You got to have it first. And, you know, I do like technology. Technology is allowing this to happen. Watching hockey, talking to people in New Jersey and California all at once, following baseball games at the same time on the same handheld device that we're using to talk. So, you know, yeah, it makes people be socially awkward like vegetables at the bar sometimes, but there are a lot of good things that come with it too. And it's like, you know, it's the fundamental idea of people get used to the same routine over and over and over again. Some people hate to try new things. Some people like to try new things but hate to adapt to certain things. Like, you know, the typical Giant fan, stereotypical Giant fan that has to have their games at 1 p.m. will absolutely hate this new idea of whether it's games in London, games that start at 8 p.m., Thursday night games, Tuesday games, internet games, fantasy games, and everything that is slightly off course from their routine just throws them for the just like you know, the Giant fan that hates when their game is on NBC and they're like, why isn't the game starting? It starts so late. It starts the same time every Sunday night for the last 4 years. Deal with it. And the NFL is all about making money, gobble, 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 gobble. And if there's a new thing that they think is going to make more money, gobble, 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 they're going to try to do it. They'll have games on the moon if they thought it was going to make them money.
I think is that what Mike said? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What were you saying there, Tom?
I was singing the little song, Money, Money, Money.
Oh, yeah, the money. Yeah, money. Did. You know, I actually have the ability to play that song, but I fear copyright repercussions from YouTube, so I will not do it.
Do it. Come on.
I'll cue it up. But anyway, technology is definitely going to change sports, and there are some companies that have been out in front of it, and we mentioned MLB TV already, and I think that's just great. I really think that's some pretty good stuff. So,
Like, here, let me just give you an example, all about me mode with technology.
Mm-hmm.
Up until maybe 2 months ago, I'd use my lunch break to just, like, either read or listen to music, just zone out while I'm eating, and then take a walk through downtown Seattle. But Mad Men was ending, and I wanted to rewatch seasons 1 through 6, just so the last season I'd be able to be like, oh, I remember this. Now I know why this is happening. Oh, I forgot what this happened. I wanted to be sharp and fresh for last season. So I'm watching Mad Men on my phone during my lunch break and on my commute to and from work, and I used to never, ever, ever do that. And then I got so spoiled watching Mad Men on my phone, and there'd be certain times where, you know, the service would be that good, and then the phone, you know, the show would freeze, and then I went from being indifferent to it be like, oh, what the hell is wrong with my phone? Why is it working? You know, like, chill out, bro. You're freaking spoiled. Like, 5 years ago, no one watched TV on their phone. Right. This is a gift. Accept it. Be grateful. So, you know, we become so spoiled with these these toys for adults that give us the ability to watch the Stanley Cup from your phone when you're
Right.
on a train home, going home from work.
That's remarkable, isn't it? How things can change like that, Andy. I think that's a really good observation. Now, Tommy, do you feel like you may be? That's a good song. They used this on The Apprentice, right? Do you guys still watch that?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Is it pathetic that when I think of this song, I think of it Donald Trump? I mean, does it get any more pathetic than that?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, how
pretty
big of a loser am I?
I don't know. It's kind of hard not to shake it. It's hard not to shake it. Anyway, let's talk about the... This is so good, man. The OJs. They also did the Love Train song. You guys knew that, right?
That's a good one.
I like Love Train.
Yeah, Love Train's good. Get on the world, Love Train. Yeah, good stuff. Let's
Join in.
Join in on the Love Train. Actually, let's put that up there. Okay. While we listen to this, let's talk about the Belmont Stakes to close us out tonight. American Pharoah with a back-to-back, starting a back-to-back bid for a Triple Crown. Last year was California Chrome. American Pharoah on the table for Triple Crown in the Belmont. Well, it's a stupid question, but I'll ask it anyway, Andy. Will he do it? Can he do it? Do we know enough about how he will do it? Your thoughts about the Belmont Stakes coming up?
Me or Tommy?
No, you first, Andy.
I have no idea what kind of oats has he been eating.
Exactly.
Seriously, I'll be black hat with relish scenario. Like last year, I went all in. Whoever I don't even remember the name of the horse, but he won the first
California
two legs.
Chrome.
California Chrome.
California Chrome. Yep.
And yeah. So I was like, oh, he's gonna win it. What was the Triple Crown? Never was the Triple Crown. Never happened. Hasn't happened in so many years. You gotta watch it. And it was just an utter disappointment when he didn't win. When you were hoping to watch it happen. So this year, enough. I'm not getting wrapped up in this particular horse. I'm gonna find an underdog and root for. Maybe Captain No Fun. Every horse, the other 7 horses are underdogs and long shot. So I will find myself an underdog / long shot and root for them to win because we played this game last year and it didn't happen, and it's a horse. It's not a human. It's a horse. The race is 2.5 minutes. Anything can happen.
Yep.
Captain No, anything can happen in any sporting event, but it's Debbie Downer. Sorry to sound contrarian. I'm not rooting for American Pharoah.
I can dig that, though, because I'm skeptical of it, too. It's like I just refuse to believe it happening till it does. And let's go to Tommy. Your thoughts about the Belmont Stakes. Did Pharoah get the Triple Crown? What do you think?
Last year, I was not thinking that California Chrome was going to win, mostly because Mike did not like the horse and did not think much of the horse. This year, Mike is very high on American Pharoah. I can understand Andy not wanting to root for American Pharoah. For betting purposes, it doesn't make any sense to put any money on American Pharoah. And because of that, I'm not going to bet because I'm going to be rooting for American Pharoah, so it doesn't make sense for me to bet on another horse, but still root for American Pharoah. I had that discussion with Jeremy before, who keeps begging me to bet. I'm not going to bet. It doesn't make any sense if I'm rooting for American Pharoah. I think he does it. I think this is the year. If I'm wrong, I might be done with horse racing. I already might be done betting on horse racing. I mean, I don't think I've ever won money on the Kentucky Derby. I've been betting on that since I was a little kid. I've never won. I've never picked the right horse. I've gone to people like Checker, John in Connecticut. I've gone to other people asking for advice, picks. I've done numerous advanced research, hours worth of shit. I've gone to Monmouth Racetrack near me talk to old guys who are about 90, asking them their opinions. Nothing matters. It doesn't work. I don't win. I'm pissed. I'm sick of betting on horses. It's stupid.
It's really
They're
hard.
animals.
It is.
It's impossible.
It's really hard.
10 seconds.
It is extremely hard. That's why the numbers are so great. That's why the odds are always so great for them. It's like 10-1, 32-1, or whatever. All of them are like that because trying to pick it is impossible. There's like how many? 16 horses?
The sucker's bet.
Yeah, definitely.
The sucker's bet. There's 20 horses in the Derby.
Unless you're Brian Monzo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Team degenerate.
Unless
His brain is degenerated.
This past year, I bet on 6 horses. I didn't win. I didn't win anything.
Dang.
Like, how bad can you be? I thought 6 out of I think there was 18 this year. 6 out of 18. I thought I would have a 33% chance. I thought, all right. I even came close to betting on more. That's how bad it was. And I refused to bet on the favorite. And, of course, this year the favorite wins. I mean, what are you going to do, Dave?
I think I want to take Angie's side. I want to be a contrarian on this. I refuse to believe there will be a Triple Crown winner until we see one. I was all in with California Chrome last year. I believed in him. I made a bet. I went to Vegas. I put a bet down on him to win the Belmont. And he was so far behind from the beginning, and then he made a run and he got close. But I'm done. I'm done too. Go other horses. And if we could bet on just the other horses as one bet, I would happily do that because I think it'll probably be laying like 9 million, but I would do that. I would do that. Can you do that? Can you lay like all the horses to win as a prop bet?
I know you can bet on the horse that you think is going to come in last. I'm not sure about that prop bet though.
You would have to basically do a bet on like all of them at once, and then just hope you break even, which is stupid. I won't do that. So you're not gonna win anything that way. No, you're not. That's a very good point. Then you like leave out 3, and then it ends up being those 3 anyway. So it's like the whole thing's pointless. I agree with you. So just pick 2 horses. Yeah, just pick 2. Maybe you win, but you're absolutely right. It's just kind of silly. Andy, I love your plan. Are you gonna do anything related to this race from betting purposes?
Yeah, because I'll be at a horse track that will have live races and simulcasts. And so the race will be on, big screens and stuff. I'm gonna probably bet, 1 to 2 units on these long shots, and maybe even quote unquote insure my bet by making like a $20 bet on American Pharoah, and then another $20 on long shots. Because if American Pharoah wins, then you get your money back that you're using to bet on the long shots. And then if a long shot wins, well, hopefully that long shot is in your, in one of those wagers. So hopefully one of those things happen.
Well, that's the best idea I've thought of so far from a strategical standpoint. So good luck to your wagers, Mr. Jacobs, and to all of you. This has been a good time, and I agree with everything you've said about the finals from the standpoint of it'll be a fun finals, because it will be a very fun finals, which is terrific, and I'm looking forward to it. And it's the least they could do to make up for a subpar NBA playoffs. I mean, there's no arguing that either. So, guys, thanks very much for joining the program. Andy, Tom, have a good weekend. Enjoy the race. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the finals. I will catch you guys very soon. But thank you very much for joining the program. Have a good weekend, everybody.
That went really fast. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for having us.
Likewise, fellas. All right, take it easy. Well, that's our show. That's our guests. Those are our guests, Andy and Tommy. And we are done for the evening. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Thanks to Mike Walters from the Ducks and Pucks podcast. And thanks to Keith in Connecticut for joining us in our first hour with the NHL. I'm Dave Medina. We're on YouTube. Follow us here if you're watching us right now. Follow us at Ditkow on Twitter. And Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/ditcow. Enjoy all the finals games. We'll see you next time.